leadership team. And the board put this event together. For those of you who have been to these before, thank you for coming back. If you haven't and want to attend more events like this, just let us know. I'm going to turn a little bit of time over to our sponsors. We have Tessa from Kiln, and then Victoria from, you're going to say the law firm name. So, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Tessa. Who has never been to Kiln before? Okay, I've got amount of you. This is fun. Okay, so Kiln is a co-working space. So basically we host offices, allow them to come in, have an area where they can brainstorm. We do networking events. We do these kinds of events. So it's really fun for us to meet a lot of people in the professional field. And so we're just really excited to have you guys. I have with me, it's our day pass. So if you're ever interested in just needing a space to come work, if a lot of you work from home, this is a good area to get a membership and come and be able to network for free and have a space that you can just come and be involved. So if you have any questions, come up and find me. I'll be up at the front desk and I'll hand you one of these guys and you can test it out. And if you have any questions, just find me. Bathrooms are around this corner. That's my desk. So you need it. That's what it is. Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you.
Hello, I just briefly wanted to say hi and thank everyone so much for attending. My name is Victoria Carrington. I'm a local patent attorney. I work for Mashaw Brennan. I left a couple flyers out there. Feel free to take one or to snap a picture of it. We saw the opportunity to step up and sponsor lunch, and I'm so grateful that we could do that. So please grab food. Don't leave this event hungry. That would make me so sad. And just know that there are people here. So we have 2 offices here in Utah. One's in Salt Lake City. That's where I work. We also have a Park City office. We love helping people navigate the shifting legal landscape around AI, whether that's patents, copyrights, actual litigation. We've seen it all. We do it all. We're very much like apprised of the situation. So happy to talk about that. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to make you all aware of just some housekeeping items really quick. So upcoming events, we have the really, really great opportunity on May 4th. It's an AI workshop and certification with Nikki at Cope, right? Cope. And that is, do they need to sign up for that?
Yes,
Okay.
it's online on Silicon Slopes, and we're super excited about this one. It's free, and after the 3-hour workshop, you will get a diploma from Asia University, which is an AI university, which is LinkedIn searchable and accredited.
It's awesome. This is a huge opportunity. Also on May 10th, Copy Connection, just kind of like a very informal networking. May 17th, we're going to kick off our speaker series, and that will be at Silicon Slopes headquarters.
No.
Oh.
It's here.
It's here at Kiln. So you already know where to come.
It's not up yet. This is just save the date for now.
Save the date.
17th.
And then June 1st, another just kind of informal networking type thing. Hike. So
It's National Take a Hike Day. The suspension grid is an easy one. So mark a calendar. June 1st. Easy. Control easy. I hear you. How many of you thought I would?
Let me see what's going on.
Still, Utah kids or
Give me one second.
So I'll just go on. It's fine. We can do the slides at the end if we need to. But so let me introduce our panel because this is why all of you came. As interesting as all these announcements are to you. So this is our moderator, Morgan Williams. She is the founder and CEO, right? Founder and CEO of Blvd Studios. That's what I thought. She will be moderating our beautiful panelists, and she will introduce everyone else. So thank you, and it's yours.
Okay, I'm going to take it away. Well, first, thank you all so much for all being here today. I do want to set the tone. this is a conversation, not a presentation. So, and when I say conversation, I mean I invite your voices as well, your expertise as well, and we just happen to have different seats than you all. So, but very much inviting. And because this is a conversation, first I'd like to get a sense of kind of who's in the room. By a show of hands, who's brand new to AI? Like, what does the A and I even stand for? Anybody? Okay. Who's dabbling in AI? Like, I've done a few things. Okay, we got some dabblers. And then anybody in the room who I create models, I use this in my everyday work. Anybody? Okay, we got a couple of other experts too, so we need voices. Bring those in. Okay, well, I'm really excited. So I'll tell you a little bit more about myself in a minute, but first, I just want to really set the tone for today. So AI is not new. I learned that today. But it feels so new to so many of us. And although it might not be new, it is having its moment. And so when we think about AI, particularly generative AI, how we train, apply, govern, and even work with AI, this is the moment to decide that for all future application. Never before have leaders and just everyday people been so excited about the value AI can really bring to our work and society. In companies, as we think about efficiency, productivity, competitive edge, better products, we're all so excited. But it's a complicated conversation because there's also a lot of concern as well. So as we think about the uncertainty around privacy issues, bias, job displacement, it's a complex conversation. So that's why this is a what? Conversation. Okay. So excited to have leaders in the space in very diverse industries here today. And then myself. So I'll introduce myself now. So my name is Morgan Williams. I am founder and CEO of Blvd Studios, and we are a company that is disrupting the trucking industry, specifically hiring, CDL, and specialized driver hiring. We do incorporate AI into our hiring practices, so we're trying to bring more efficiency in that space, but like I said, it's a complicated situation, so I'm as excited for this conversation as you all might be here today as well. Enough about me. Let's get into it. Let's start with some introductions. So I would love for you all, if you all could introduce yourself, give us your name, of course, your role, and maybe a little window into what AI looks like for your industry or company that you're a part of. So you can start.
Great. I'm Jen Grayson. My introduction to AI came through blockchain. I ran what is still today the longest running predictive blockchain AI project, and was CEO of that for a little while, and now an advisor on it. And I'm an author of over 80 books pre-AI, pre-Gen AI, and then I've done about a dozen in the last year and a half. And the promise when I first got introduced to it was that my business partner was going to give me an AI that I could write a book with. And from that moment on, I've just been immersed in the world of it, and so I'm excited that it's finally having its moment.
I'm Amy Heinrich. I'm VP of Data at Pluralsight. If you're not familiar with Pluralsight, it's a local technology company. We have a platform for people to learn all kinds of different skills through either video or hands-on labs, different techniques, assessments, things like that to improve your skills. As a VP of Data, I'm responsible for data infrastructure, governance, and the analytical insights that really help support data-informed decision-making at Pluralsight. So a lot of that is related to the customer life cycle. So from in the beginning leads in marketing all the way through the customer success standpoint. So, and I think about those analytic insights as very broad, and so it could be something very simple, or it could be very complex, an AI model. So I think about AI a lot in the business context, and also just personally, like I'm interested in the subject, how the data is informing all of these innovations and the policies that are being built towards this.
So I will invite, if there, I of course have some questions, but I'm sure you all might as well. So if you do have questions as we're going through this, feel free to raise your hand. Also, if you're online, you also have a raise your hand icon. You have a raise your hand icon. Just raise your hand, and we'll get those questions answered. So we don't have to wait till the end, is what I'm saying. But I am interested. Actually, Jen, let's start with you. Blockchain and AI. How does that work? What is the marriage between that, and how do the two coming together really move industry forward?
First, does everybody know what blockchain is? Who doesn't know what blockchain is? Okay. Yay for the rest of you. So proud of all of you. So blockchain is a way to quickly take the kind of the gooey middle out of how we're doing transactions. It's quick, it's transparent, it's a Google spreadsheet kind of upside down, where the Google spreadsheet lives in the cloud. This is an upside down version of that, where all of that same data, where everybody can go in and work on the same thing, is on everybody else's computers. So it just kind of is an inverse of that, and allows for, if you want it, radical transparency, where every transaction is available, just like on your Google spreadsheet, right? You can go in and you can see all of the transactions that have happened. You can look at the history. Inside blockchain, you can do the same thing. Everything is recorded, so it's allowing, in every industry, transparency, accountability. JP Morgan used it a year and a half ago to save, I think, $1.2 trillion internally, because they were able to leverage it to start doing transactions that saved them time, money, people. They could reallocate resources. And so I think for me, when I look at this marriage, it is the perfect marriage. Of being able to take two nascent technologies and allow them to compress the time and effort that humans spend on things. And so AI isn't doing things that humans can't do. It's just that same task would take me 4,700 years. And the AI is like, or now is good. And same with blockchain. So you now have two technologies together that are compressing the time, and honestly are taking out the menial, labor-intensive tasks that we as humans shouldn't. And so this is allowing us, I think, in every single industry, to be able to leverage technology in a way that allows us to.
Allowing us to be more human. I feel like when we talk about AI, there's this well, people talk a lot about displacement of the human, of the job force, or different tasks that come up of that nature. So actually, Amy, I'd like to, kind of tap into what you're doing at Pluralsight, really helping to essentially upskill people into opportunity. So given some of the concerns around job displacement, as we talk about AI, what are the opportunities or new types of jobs or skills that you see emerging as AI continues to take over the country?
I mean, there's interest. But I mean, just the point about this, it's like two. It's important. Like now, if we think, and if we think about what that means, larger Are we setting, or are we going to be the company? So I'm thinking like, wise, if we consequence the company just, one perspective. How do we as humans work less and still have, like what we actually doesn't.
Yeah,
That was good.
work less and right? Yeah. Yes, that's definitely a fan. And so you're Amy. You kind of got into this idea of responsibility, responsibility of companies, even of people, as we think about bringing AI into our world. When maybe let's take it from a company perspective first. How can folks think about how do you define responsible AI, and how can companies start thinking about how to be responsible?
I do. Be responsible. Having represented a model group of people, our model asking them. I don't think that's a
And I'm actually going to give that question to you as well, Jen. How do you define responsible AI, and what's your perspective?
One of the things that I love about blockchain is the ability to own our own data, the possibility of owning. Right now, we are very limited to data sets. What I would like to see going forward is the ability for everyone in this room to not only control their data, so that we start changing the biases that are in the data that's being up, but also being paid. If we could all contribute our data and decide where we want it to be used, that begins to change the game. And so instead of Google and Facebook and all of the big companies that currently own all of our data, because we've gleefully given it over because I have no idea how to get to Kiln successfully. I need to leverage Google, and Google's like, great, thanks. I'm going to take all of that data and I'm going to use it. But what I should be able to do is say, hey, I'm logging in. Here's my personal NFT. And I'm going to allow Google to have that data right now. You don't get it for the rest of the day. You don't need to know where my kids are. You don't need to know who I'm meeting later for a date. You don't need to know any of that. So I get to toggle on and off where I'm contributing that data. But the way we change that bias is for us to give it more data. It needs more data so that we can then begin to dispel how it's looking at subsets of individuals. Why are women only getting paid 75 cents on the dollar or whatever? Or why are certain minorities being treated certain ways? If we're contributing all of our data that are changing these, and it's like, well, I'm getting paid 3 times the men in my office, right? But we don't have that data to contribute, then we're just going to keep replicating these old patterns. So for me, instead of companies being responsible, it's up to us to start asking for that responsibility, demanding that responsibility from them, and being able to say, okay, we're all done with this free ride. Like, I'm contributing so much, and I want to continue to contribute more because I love what the AI is doing, what it's allowing me to do, what it's allowing me to see and interact, and it's expanding my day. But I get to, and so that I think it comes back to us demanding that from them. How's that? Well, I would say, how has regulation worked out for us so far? Not fantastic. You cannot regulate a society into doing things. So to me, it is, I think it's us as a collective saying, this is what really matters to me. I think it's us having conversations like this, where we go, okay, how do we fix this? Because Google's not going to do it. Facebook's not going to do it. Clearly, Congress is not going to do it. And so I think it is us understanding the tech, understanding that what the media tells us about NFTs is spectacular, in that they just want us to be scared so that we'll tune in it. It's how do I understand what that really is? And if I had my own personal NFT, not a monkey JPEG, right? But what is that actual technology? I think it's us getting to do some of our own labor, which is, all right, I've got to go to Pluralsight and I need to learn a thing. And I need some data and I need to skill up my own self because we're the ones we've been waiting.
Thank you for your question, because it created a what?
The conversation.
So, any other?
I think just to build off that, because legislation is never going to catch up, ever. And so it is as a collective. How can we get ahead of it, though? Education, obviously, here we are, and then our younger generation, they're going to. How do we get the education system from early education, having the right studies to prepare them so they see the value and they as a that is I completely that's where it's never going to catch up. So it comes from an education system, but with early education, anything you're seeing in terms of who's doing where are the gaps so that for the future generation protected and saving us.
I would go back to how has that worked out for us so far? The education system not helping us. But I have two teenagers, and I'm watching them self-educate. They are so immersed in YouTube and one another, and like they're teaching themselves. And so I think it is the Montessori principle of go, if you're interested in a thing, like we as parents, we as communities, go, oh my gosh, how much can I give you? You're interested in science, go as hard and deep and far as you can. I think it's teaching them to use it ethically, and where it serves them. I have a kid who already has a full ride to go learn from Mercedes how to make cars. It's all he wants to do. He will build go-karts from the ground up for the rest of his life. Like, he loves cars. So this morning, the text I got was, hey, can you use your AI thingy to write me an And I was like, no, but you get to learn how to use AI to write an English essay. Because he's got to learn how to use the AI and leverage it. Because right now he needs to graduate high school and he's got to play the game. And so I think it is, as communities, as parents, and to find those charter schools, YouTubers, right? Like TED Talks. It's continuing to share that to that younger generation and applauding them when they find it. And just, I think we've got to continue to use it. And they're the ones we've been waiting for in every aspect: education, legislation, community, teaching, all of it. It's up to us to do this. We cannot rely on education. Not in this country.
So I'm before trucking with automation, hiring automation, I was actually in education. So that's where I started my career, and we did a lot in innovation from pre-K through 12. And this is one of those where I'll say, I'm not sure this is new. Once upon a time, there was the internet. And, and I remember actually, I was a part of the generation who in school, we actually had to learn how to essentially get exposure to, how to ethically use and understand the boundaries for the internet. So while I think education it's limited in what education can teach and do, the education industry or space, it does have the ability to inform what we believe is ethical, what we believe the boundaries. And that is a very real conversation right now. And do you know who has the most power in that conversation? So I think really getting engaged and the fact that you all are all here some way, somehow adjacent to tech or something, I think you have a real opinion about what this can look like. And this is a shaping conversation. So please be a part of it. But don't expect the academics to just know. Everybody's trying to figure it out. We're even in this room all trying to figure it out together. But be a part of that conversation, but know that we've done this before as we think about the introduction of just the internet.
And human skills. I mean, like, that's the piece that our kids need, is how do they learn to be more human? You know, that's, I think, the big gap right now. Adding that into how they're learning the tech, how they're using the tech, how they're leveraging.
And Amy, did you have any opinions?
I mean, my opinion on education. But they, you know, like my how to solve. So I ways to.
So I do have another. So we're delving into. We're kind of getting past. We talked about AI in the sense of workforce development and efficiency. Talked about it from the sense of again how to move industries forward. We're getting into education. What are some other areas, maybe beyond what we've discussed, where you all see applications for AI that you're really excited about?
You know, there's a lot of opportunity that but what about even it interests me.
I agree, and I mean, I think I look at the health space of, you know, we've seen that that's lacking in areas, and being able to kind of dovetail onto that preventative. What aren't we seeing? What are the corollary aspects of it that AI is going to find these data points that we as humans would get there eventually? but AI is going to be able to find things that it would not have ever occurred to us of here's a subset of individuals that have certain cancers or mental health issues, and we would have gotten there 40 years from now, but it's the time. So I think medical's a big one. And just like honestly, like every industry has the benefit of rest and move mankind forward in a way that we work. Like if we had to do this just as in our lifetime, probably not my kid's lifetime.
As a technophobic baby boomer, what's the downside? What could go wrong?
You'll get to retire early.
I don't want to retire. I like working, but what's the downside of AI? Can it take over? Can iRobot happen? The movie?
Not in your lifetimes.
No downside?
The downside is exactly what we've seen with any other technology. It's the human component. It's absolutely the human component.
Okay.
The internet was used for sex trafficking, porn. But I'll tell you what AI hasn't done. AI has never started a war. AI has never raped a woman. AI's never, stolen someone's idea and made $1 trillion on it. AI's never sunk a mortgage industry. But we hold AI to this impossible standard of it is not allowed to make any mistake ever. Whether that's a medical diagnosis, an auto driving car, and yet we're like, unless it is perfect, we're not going to use it. Okay, well, how many people in the amount of time that we have been here? I don't know what the number is, but mankind has murdered, killed, raped, and crashed. Who knows how many horrible atrocities we have. And so when I look at the downside of AI, I'm like, we're going to get resources reallocated. People are going to get to shift their jobs. And I think that's the big scary for a lot of people. We as humans are designed to not love change. We move away from pain and toward pleasure. So AI is not going to replace you, but a human using AI absolutely will replace
There are
you.
governments that are abusing it.
Well,
And so
there are men and women
right,
in those governments
right,
abusing
that are
it.
abusing it. Yeah.
There are men and women abusing the internet. Should we stop using it? And so with any technology,
This isn't a 1 or a 0, not use it or don't use it. Where do you draw the limits on it? Because it can be abused. And I don't know that we're going to discuss the answer.
of
Let's
course,
just raise the question.
absolutely. And I think it is, again, back to us saying, okay, we can't ignore it. It's having its moment. It's been here forever. And so now it is, how do I become more human so that when I use it, when I show up for a job, the question now is, who's your AI team? And I could say, oh, well, I'm coming with a full suite that I've trained. And so you're not getting just me, but let me introduce you to my AI team. And so that is how we job proof ourselves.
And thank you, Jen. And Amy, from a data scientist perspective, what are you controlling? What are we controlling for it to make sure it doesn't happen?
I think it's such an interesting question because it's almost like we can't anticipate. Like we can't foresee something like a social network influencing, or you know what I mean? Like there's things that it's almost like we need a Gen AI to list the unintended results. I think it's like it's hard to imagine to solve, but the problem is that we're just a step behind. We need to think about how do we get to some possible that we're not going to know all of them. How do we at least regulate our policy? Despite the challenges, we think about ways about this. So yeah, it's a
I wanted to share my experience, if that's okay, going along the lines. I work for a local software company in the marketing department, and at the start of the year, we went through a restructure. We lost a third of our headcount in the department, and as such, our entire content team but one was gone, was laid off, but we still needed to create the same amount of content. So I was tasked with evaluating different AI vendors and putting proposals together and connecting with our data and AI team to make an evaluation from a day-to-day operation standpoint, and then making sure that that's approved from a AI budget as well standpoint. What I've learned as I've assessed the various tools is that what's important is that we use AI as a tool, not necessarily to replace a person. What's very important is to keep the critical thinking element to you, to the department, to the company, to your responsibilities. And AI can help you do some research, but who makes the conclusion is you. And then you can create your content for that purpose. In our department, we use AI to create content, but we always have an editor-in-chief. So we have a human prior to pushing it to publication or whatever, who has been working for the company for 17 years and adds the human element to that piece of content. And it's not just adding a comma or whatever, but it's actually adding thought leadership that we've previously published. And so it's, yes, it saves us time. It's helped us immensely when we've lost headcount, but it's also I believe it was Jen and Amy who alluded to the fact that with AI, people's skill set is going to evolve. And that's what, so the person who's an editor was a content writer before. His skill set has had to dramatically evolve to understand, okay, this is my new day-to-day. I will be editing. I'm not going to open a blank Word document and start writing. I will be editing moving forward. And my question to the panel, if that's okay, is as a leader, how can you help people understand that their jobs are not necessarily in danger of disappearing, but that their skill set is evolving? How can you see that, how can you break away from that fear component of, your job's not at stake here? I mean, it's the challenge in our situation is that we've lost a third of headcount, so it's even more challenging there. But people have stayed. How would you? I don't know if you've had to experience that, but I'd be interested in anyone in the room. I'd be interested in hearing that.
thought is that there are certain jobs. That's a challenge. Because the fear is real, because we can see there's that. I don't know if companies are in a position to have a different with you. I don't know. Or if individuals themselves in this position would rather from I think maybe it's a but I think as we progress with AI, it's just going to become so maybe the selections the profession practice, it will grow. So we all may have. Just to add up with what you said, I was just thinking about like we're having a conversation about AI, and specifically the fear of people like they were steal our jobs and stuff like that. And for me, it's like what you said is it's a tool that we need to learn. And essentially, what you were mentioning is like we need to not underestimate our soft skills. Essentially, is what makes us human. ChatGPT and all these editors still are lacking empathy, set of tone. You still need to go through it and just really make a differentiation. If you're making the content and you're not editing properly, you won't have the engagement. You will have, because people will see, okay, that's not real, right? You still need to connect, and but with that, you need a human behind it. So it's like, bottom line, do not underestimate.
It's vital. It's absolutely
Exactly, that would be more important.
It is. And I think from a leadership perspective, it is speaking to their humanness, inspiring their humanness, and kind of drawing out to like, what's the thing you love to do? Are you here just to do a job and get a paycheck, which is okay? Or is this an opportunity for you to step into that thing that sparks amazing creativity, or something that you've always wanted to do? And how do we draw that out of you as a company? We obviously saw something in you that was the reason you're sitting in that seat, you as an individual. So what would that look like? How could you as a person, we're reorganizing all the seats on the bus right now. What seat do you want? You're staying, you're here. I think AI gives us the ability to like blow out the box. There are no boxes anymore. Or at least the potential for that job description to be a decahedron now. And it's like, what do you want to do? And so I think that, coupled with the human skills, and where do you feel your human skills are lacking? Is there training we can bring in where you feel deficient in your human skills? And, what is the friction with AI? Where is it hard for you? Where is it confusing? How do we help you? And so I think from a leadership perspective, it's that sort of leadership of inspiring them, sparking their curiosity. Do we need to bring somebody in? What are you scared of? Let's dispel the fears, especially when they're seeing everybody getting laid off. And it's like, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the giant elephant in the room. What are you really scared of? Okay, now what? Now what do we do?
Jen, I think you have really unique perspective on this. So we were having a conversation about how before generative AI, you authored over 80 books. So that's the blank Word document.
Yes.
Now with generative AI, you've now authored 12 additional pieces. And as we get into this conversation about content creation, I'm really interested in your perspective about how has your process changed, or even ability to create change, because seeing both of these worlds and creating in both of these worlds.
It's revolutionized everything about what I do. And I think for any of us that have dabbled in it, it's that same thing. For me, it is having, and I have like horrific ADD, in case you haven't noticed that. And so for me, it is one, a body double, which is vital to me and my dopamine. And so I come in every morning, I have this immediate body double. And then I can run as fast as I possibly can. And the generative AI is picking up the pieces that I need. I'm going too fast. And I'm like, okay, something cool needs to happen here. And the Gen AI is like, I got you, girl. Like, just keep going, keep going, keep going. And so I can run as fast as I can possibly run. If I'm doing fiction, if I'm doing nonfiction, I can have more conversations with the Gen AI about, okay, what's the topic I'm missing? Here's the reader I'm going after. What is the piece that I'm missing? And similarly with content, right? It's like, okay, we know our avatar, or who is our actual avatar? And being able to really get that feedback from the Gen AI of what is that avatar going through today? And being able to create from that space of, I don't have to do a blank page now. Now I have this team, which is my editors, my co-creator, it can do analysis for me, all of those parts and pieces. And so I think that's where it is beyond just filling a blank page. It is, who's the team I wish I had that I can't afford and I don't have time to train? For me personally, in my job.
I love this. So I know we could go on and on, but we can't. So, but I love some of the big takeaways that you all as an audience have also shared, from applications in education to workforce to talent development, content creation. There's so many ways that this is infiltrating our lives in good ways, and even elevating some of the challenges that we can understand and can't. And so this has been such a great conversation. And as all of us, it seems, are in some way either dabbling in or very deep in AI, I'm curious, what is the one takeaway? If you're in a company or if you're just a person looking to implement AI, what is your one line of advice that you'd like to leave everyone?
Options. I think that's it, right? Like there's so many possibilities. Like business context, new things, like improve your models so much. What am I currently doing in business? I think. Or if you're an individual who knows corporates code. I just think that there's a lot of ways. Think about the problems that you're and
I'm gonna go back to my one-liner I had earlier, which is, you're the one you've been waiting for. And you can't ignore.
Well, thank you both so much for sharing. Yes, I think we might have some time to network, but there are alternatives.
Yeah. So I thought, my husband texted me this today, so I thought I'd end with this. And he said, the biggest problem with pushing all things AI is wrong direction. I want AI to do my laundry and dishes so I can do art and writing, not for AI to do my art and writing so I can do my laundry. Anyway, so I thought we'd end with a little. But anyway, so this is our speaker series coming up. I just wanted to end with that so y'all can have that on your radar. And then I'll put up the AI certification. I'll just leave that one up so that you can see that. But we have about 15 minutes to network. So we can make it as official as you like or unofficial, but I was thinking we could just gather in just groups of 3 or 4. We could probably go back out to the tables if that's easier. Is there a preference? I'm asking really vague questions.